Hi there, Save with Crypto here. Okay, so the last couple of days I've been talking about Ethereum, and I've been trying to get into a long position. Now, the one I did yesterday, the video I did yesterday, I was talking about setting a entry for a long at 3,220. I bottled it in the end and decided not to go for it, partly because it's Saturday and I just don't know what's going on with Trump and the tariffs and all that sort of stuff. It's kind of shaking up the market, and I kind of wish it wasn't at a weekend, to be honest. So there's that. Anyway, looking back at charts I've done in the past and various scribbles that I've put on, I'm just trying to make sense of it. Now, bear in mind, I'm not very good at TA. I don't claim to be a brilliant trader or anything like that. I'm just looking at, what I can see in the charts and, trying to make sense of stuff. And this is the Ethereum USD chart that I drew a while ago. And this one here I put in a double bottom here at the last few weeks of January. And I was expecting the price to go up, which it did. And then it broke out of this line of resistance here. And what I was hoping then that the price would come back, do a retest and go up following that pink arrow. And it didn't. It came back into the pattern. And today, or last night, or whenever it was, when was that? That was the early hours of this morning. The price came down to touch this trend line again. Now, I think this trend line is pretty valid. It's got like 1, 2, 3, 4 touch points. That makes it a valid trend line. And we have sort of bounced a little bit from there. Not very much, though, to be honest. Now, the price did go down to whatever that is, pretty much $3,000, actually. I think that's going to be like a psychological thing, isn't it? I reckon there's a lot of people who might have orders set at 3,000 or who are planning to buy ETH at 3,000. In the hope that it will go up to 4,000 and beyond, which I think is a reasonable thing to think. So that might help keep that level up there. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. I must admit, it isn't looking particularly strong in my mind. Going down to the 3-minute and putting Stonksy on, I mean, we are getting these, patches of green, but they're not lasting very long, to be honest. They're just going back to either no trade or even little bits of red. Pushing the price down. On the 1 hour time frame, that has been red for quite a while now. That was 2 o'clock this morning, Sunday, the 2nd of February 2025. Okay, so we do appear to be in a downtrend for Ethereum. Now, looking at the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, I mean, this is what I was drawing yesterday. And I was talking about the idea of Ethereum versus Bitcoin. It had been following this line down, and then it broke out. And I was once again hoping for a retest, but this time not against US dollars, but Bitcoin itself. So it sort of is doing that, but really it should come down a little bit further. But it, from when I mentioned this yesterday, it did come down like that, but I would expect to go a little bit further. The price of Bitcoin itself does unfortunately look like it's in this descending parallel channel, which, although it is a bullish pattern, it is quite a big pattern. That's going back like nearly 2 weeks, and the price could come down to something like 96.5k. If we look at Bitcoin on the 1 hour time frame with Stonksy, you can see that we've been in a red bearish downtrend since 6 o'clock on Saturday morning. That was yesterday. So yeah, it's looking a little bit grim. Now there is a bit of hope, which is the CME gap. If you go over to cmegroup.com and then look for Bitcoin, you'll see that the price it closed at on the CME on Friday night was 102,530. Which is considerably higher than where we are now. So it's risky, but there is a possible trade there if you want to take it. Now, the problem we got is that the Trump trade war is all over the news at the moment. And I don't know what's going to happen. The only thing I can think is if you're going to impose a 25% tax on everything coming from China, then what happens to all the stuff that they use in the States that comes from China? I mean, for example, all the Apple products, they're all designed in California, built in China. So all the phones, all the electronics. The only thing I can see is that inflation will have to increase, which is not what Trump wants to do. So I don't know how he's going to do this, unless they put the money printer on and print more money. And we know how that ends, don't we? It'll be good for Bitcoin, but it'll be bad for the economy. What do you think? I'd love to know. So let me know in the comments. And of course, once the States start printing money, then Europe's going to follow and everywhere else will follow. And then you're just looking at massive global inflation. And the only true asset will be Bitcoin, which makes me sound like a massive Bitcoin maximalist, which I am. Talking of Bitcoin maximalist, if you go over to savewith.crypto.org and then go to this thing here called A to Z, I've put together this A to Z glossary of crypto terms that people use. And if you think there's some terms here that need to be added to this page, then please do let me know, because there's definitely a few missing. My idea is if somebody asks me something in the comments like, what does NFA mean, or what does DYOR mean, or what does KYC mean, then I can add this to this page if it's not there already. So if you're a kind of beginner or an intermediate, you might find this page useful. So there's that. So please do take a look and maybe bookmark it so you can refer to it if you need to. Now, as I've been making this video, the price of Bitcoin has actually come down to 99,000, even slightly below that. And I would like to ask you guys a favour, actually, and that's if anyone's using Thomas from Team Underground's Magic RSI indicator, I'm pretty sure that he changes a couple of settings in it. So at the moment, that's how mine's set, and I'm sure he changes something here. I've unfortunately set mine to the default, so it's kind of erased whatever I set. So if anybody is using that and has got that set to the right numbers, then let me know. The idea here is that when it comes down to meet this green line here, which is the RSI band, it usually goes back up. In fact, it does it every single time. And you can see here the accuracy is quite good. This isn't quite spot on though, because I think I need to set those parameters a little bit different. But if that's the case, then what we're looking at is something like about 98,000 for a bottom here for Bitcoin. So there might be a good long opportunity fairly soon, and looking at that, that would give a nice double bottom there, wouldn't it? So what would be ideal is if Thomas himself commented on this video and told me how he sets his indicator. It's a free one, by the way. You'll find it on his videos. He's called Team Underground. He's a young Dutch lad, lives in Japan. He's quite cool. I like him. Okay, so the kind of thing I'm looking for is a trade, something like an entry around here, a take profit up here somewhere, and a stop loss you'll have to decide yourself, but going by my 20% rule, I would say that on 10x leverage I'd be looking at a 2%, so something like that. So that's what I'm looking at the moment. None of this is financial advice, of course. This is my trade, not yours. So if you've enjoyed this video, then please do give it a big fat like. Make sure you are subscribed and you've got the notifications set on all. Any questions, do leave them in the comments down below. If you know the settings for Thomas's indicator, I would love to know that as well. If you've got any comments about the tariffs, that would be interesting. Did I say give the video a big fat like? I think I did, but do it. Make sure you've done it, okay? That's very important. And above all, tell your friends.
Save with Crypto has to be one of the best YouTube channels that the United States has ever seen. Kamala Harris is not a subscriber, but I am. I have notifications set to all as well. I'd strongly suggest you subscribe to Save with Crypto today. Above all, you should tell your friends.
Save with Crypto is not a financial advisor. He just makes ice cream on the internet. If you can't find anyone to do your own research, you should do it yourself, like I did.